They say, okay, you're from Brewerville. Here is your precinct to vote. You have been registered, but the identification responsibility was with the NIR. The registration to vote.
Okay, we're trying something new today. I'm on a radio show, but I'm trying to stream the radio show. So you see only me. Maybe I should see if I can add George, but I know it will interact with the audio here. So I'm going to turn the radio on, or turn my mute off so we can get the radio feed and be able to go ahead and have this discussion.
This is not rocket science. This is something that the NEC did recently, and they registered 2.5 million people. This is technology that the NIR is already using. The only thing we're talking about here is implementation. So why are we then putting out a $52 million contract when we already have 2.5 million people registered? We already have the systems in place. What's the point behind that?
How much of that 52 million you think is needed so that we can synchronize the systems? I mean, either turn the 2 million people over to NIR to use biometric ID, or maybe empower the NIR to register everyone, because there was a chaos in Monrovia. Was that in March or February, sometimes a year, when the government came out with a I should call it pronouncement or decision that henceforth everyone must have a national ID card, but the NIR did not have the capacity to register all of us.
Right.
That lack of capacity is exactly what I spoke of before. The
Exactly.
NIR will never have the capacity if the NEC is taking $30 million that should have gone to the NIR to build its capacity to do voter biometric ID.
Or just anyone across government who's trying to do biometrics, when the National Identification Registry should be the sole institution of government that is a service center for everybody else needing national identity services. So if we misdirect these resources, then the entity responsible to execute any mandate will not be able to do so properly. So, hopefully this can change in terms of with the kind of, national discussion going around in terms of the role of the National Identification Registry and the resources that need to go into it as well. But yes, some of that money has to go into the infrastructure to ensure that everybody gets, registered. But what George has said in terms of the data that we already have, the biometric data of 2.5 million voters, that can be leveraged now with whatever the National Identification Registry has already done with the previous contractor, Technobrain. That nearly 3 million people we're looking at already. Now it's just an issue of getting them the ID cards or validating that information as you migrate it from the National Elections Commission and ingest it into the system that the National Identification Registry has. So we are saying there is no need to put aside that data. That data is live data. It can be used. Those identities will not change. So that decreases the cost. Whatever build up those people had done to get to that 52 or 53 million that they proposed before. And then if the service centers currently in the country can be expanded, because you need more for registration of people, then you'll be able to meet that. But you don't need all that development, because they're talking about new software development. They're talking about all the outreach they have to do to get 3 million people. And if you look at the initial documentation, we're talking about first year, 400,000. So you look at 400,000 by 400,000, maybe like 800,000 versus 3.5 million people who can have national IDs in a very short time. So we are trying to say that there are Liberians who can do this, and they can do it in a much shorter time than what's being proposed here. And we know that this concession has been rejected before by the PPCC, for not being in conformance with our public procurement processes. So there's a lot of noise behind this. We just hope that the government officials who have rushed to sign this agreement can revisit it. If not, hopefully the president can stop it in terms of his own consciousness about what's best for Liberia. And in the absence of that, then we have to rely on our legislature. But we really hope that the awareness that's being created of the fact that our data should be controlled by us, Liberians, versus foreigners, especially when we're not even sure of the Austrian connection of this group versus the Ghanaian face that representing them, in the public space here in Liberia and chasing after this concession. So there's a lot of different things around this, but we believe that it will be best if Liberians can do this. And whether they want to put it out or they want to assess whether the Mano River Technologies Consortium can actually do this work, that's fine. But we are focusing on this as Liberians and wanting it to be, in the best case, the best use of government funding for Liberia.
How much will it cost the Judge, before you come in? How much will it cost the Mano River Technologies Consortium to do this? This work that we about. When I say we, the government is about to pay some $52 million US, for this project.
Okay, so our build up is we believe $10 million can do the actual work that's needed.
Okay.
So that's our position.
You saved the government $42 million already.
Upfront, yes. And then the generation side, hopefully there can be creative ways to generate in terms of the different inputs from different ministry requesting identity data and any of that kind of information that can be used. Requests. Right. Commercial requests are where the banks, the commercial banks will all be able to seek identity. Once it's standardized that NIR is the source for any identity information in terms of validation and confirmation, then it makes it simple for the NIR to be able to generate revenues to support itself and be a sustainable institution, probably even generating some excess revenues that can go to government.
So you're going to be working, before you come in, George, you can use this one and this question and just come in. So you're going to be working with the NIR, or you're going to be working as an independent firm of the NIR?
Well, it got to be in collaboration, with the NIR. There's also a process where you have to really assess what does the NIR have today and what's needed in terms of your targets of registering and enrolling people. So it would take some work to do, but definitely it short circuits this process that these folks are, taking the extended time, 2.5 years, 3.5 years to get to the numbers that we actually have today.
Okay, George, you can come in now.
Yeah, so I think one of the things that we don't talk about when we talk about identification is something called KYC.
Okay.
KYC means know your customer.
Okay.
How many Carmel Fambulas are there in Cape Mount? How many Stromo disease are there in Lofa?
Okay.
Without our ability to identify each of those people uniquely, I can show up and say, my name is George Fambula, the one bank. I can go to another bank and say, my name is Carmel Fambula, to a different bank. You follow what I'm saying?
Yes, I'm following you.
This is where the know your customer implication of identification comes in. When you present that ID, the bank or any institution must have a way of validating that you are the person who carries this ID. How do they do that? They run a query against the NIR's database and say, is this person George Fambula? And the NIR returns something that says yes or no.
And that's true in API. So I think you need to break down an application and programming interface for people.
Application programming interface, it's automatic. So that everybody gets identified. So this is where, but that is a service that the financial institutions will pay the NIR for on a subscription basis. That's a service that government institutions will pay the NIR for on a subscription basis. The difference between what we're talking about and what this other company is talking about, the other company is saying, instead of the money going to the NIR directly, you guys give it to us, we take 70%, and then we do the work, and you get 30%. One of the things I kind of want to emphasize here is that we have been seeing this a lot in Liberia, haven't we?
For a lot of
70-30
concessions.
70-30 concessions. So my question to you and your listeners is, how many of you out there believe that we can really build our country by giving away 70% of everything and build it on 30% of revenue? I don't think there are any Liberians who actually believe that. So my question then is, why do we keep doing that?
Wow. This is the Prime Morning Drive on Prime FM 105.5. If you're just joining us, we have on the line from the United States of America, George Famulem, Chief Technology Officer of Lake Piso Solutions and member of Mano River Technologies Consortium, Isaac Vatuba Jr., Chief Executive Officer of Lake Piso Solutions and member of the Mano River Technologies Consortium. We are discussing national identification registry, if you like, personal data, empowering Liberian companies, empowering the national identification registry as the repository for data collection and not different government institutions doing it. Shortly we'll go to the lines to hear from you if you got concerns, but I got maybe one or two, and then we can open the lines to hear. Isaac or George, any one of you can respond.
Sure.
If the NIR is empowered and it carries on, this national identification registry nationwide, everyone who is born during the process is, have especially, got the national identification registry. How do we extrapolate? I don't know if that's the correct word. I'm looking for the mathematical word. Extrapolate the voters from the non-voters.
Okay.
Put them into districts like for the NEC to do the demarcation.
But the NEC already has that data, right? The NEC has 2.5 million of that data. And then as everybody, let's say the next set of people who turn 18, it will be in the system. And the NEC has the ability to query that. But George, you can discuss the technical aspect if you want.
Yeah, so from a technical perspective, let's say we decide that everybody who is age 14 and older is to get a national ID. Okay. You see, so everybody from 14 up gets that national ID. The NIR is keeping this data, and when the time for the next election voter registration comes up, the NIR provides to the NEC a list of everybody who will be age eligible to vote. Let me kind of make this clear, okay? And let's establish the distinction. There is a difference between identification and registration. Identification says you are who you say you are.
Right.
Registration allows you to get a certain service from the government,
like a driver license or that
you want
photo ID
to
card.
drive, you have to get a certificate to drive. That's called a driver's license. You want to go to university, you have to get a ID card that says that you are a student of the university. Correct? That is a registration process. But that registration should only happen after you have been identified. So going back now, again, the NIR will then provide that data to the NEC and say, these are all of the people who are turning 18 when it's time to vote. When those people come in, the NIR will already have, the NEC will already have the role, and the NIR has the data that identifies them. All the NEC now has to do is register them to vote. You follow what I'm saying? So you can have a national you can have a national ID, but that is not a registration to vote. The NIR is responsible to register you to vote.
Okay. You want to come in, Isaac?
No, let me ask the second question.
Okay. The second one is now that the contract has been signed, maybe or is in the works, if you like, and it has not been rectified, if you like, what do we do so that government sees reason or reasons to empower the NIR and empower Liberian-owned companies like Piso Solutions?
First, for me, is the recognition, right, of Liberian competency. And that's something we have been asking for a long time. Maybe some private sector group needs to build that particular database that registers every Liberian and their competency and can validate it, right? Because if the government wants anything, it's something that you can come to and do a search. I think that should be an obligation of government to understand its labor capacity or the technical competence of its people, whether it's in machinery, whether it's in construction, whether it's in technology, whether it's in economics, but the disciplines that your population have expertise in, whether they're in the diaspora, whether they're local or wherever, you need that. So with that kind of information, I think it makes us understand what we have as a people, what our capabilities are. But without that, now this foundational thing we're talking about is transformational in terms of the national identification. If we can get that, it impacts national security, it impacts our economy, it impacts people coming for companies that are coming in to be able to more easily employ Liberians. So the benefits of full national identification is just immeasurable. It's the foundation for transformation. It's the foundation for how should I say it? The economics. When we talk about finance, when we talk about a credit economy, that's the foundation. If you cannot identify people effectively, you cannot have an effective credit system. You have duplication, you have consistent fraud. But if you got clear identification processes that's strong, that's is secure, then you have a system or foundation that you can really build your development on. So we are just saying the government should understand all these things and understand that there's Liberian capacity to help do these things. And once they can continue to push that, I think it make a difference. Because government has to facilitate for anything to happen for Liberians.
How you talk about how you talk about specification? Will in that arrow process tell the government how many journalists, how many accountants, how many?
No, that's what I'm saying. We need to build an online ecosystem of Liberian professionals and competencies. That's what I'm saying.
Okay, but let me step in really quickly here, and say this. All right. And this statement is general, and I don't think there's any objection.
Okay.
This generation of Liberians is the most educated and accomplished in our nation's history across the board. Can we all accept that as a truism?
Even as bad as people consider the fundamentals right now in terms of the how should I say, in terms of the people in grade school, elementary school, high school, and some people look down at colleges. The crop of Liberians existing today generally are more advanced, more knowledgeable, including those in the diaspora than our predecessors.
So I made that statement to say I attended the Liberia the Diaspora Conference in Washington, D.C. And what I heard from the president was a plea to diaspora Liberians to come to Liberia to build Liberia. Can you see the internal conflict here? When you have a conference where you are begging your accomplished citizens in the diaspora to come and build your country.
Our country.
Giving away 70% of your contracts to foreigners.
That's
Like,
an
what are they coming home? What are they coming for? What are they coming to?
And we're not even mentioning the other exclusionary practice that consistently happen with World Bank and other international contracts, where the standards or requirements or qualifications to participate are so high that automatically Liberian firms are excluded. We're not even talking about that yet, you know. So Liberians are basically our disadvantage in their own country to do business, and that has to change. And it changes with, you know, a situation like this where the president can see reason to say, let's see what our citizens can do with regards to this. Since they're claiming they can do this, let's see if we can do it, or let's put it to a test. Let physically come to a table.
Contracts. Right. Let's at least evaluate the contracts, because what we are saying is we're using technology that the government is already using. We're not bringing in some new system. The NEC used the same technology to register 2.5 million voters, and in that registration, they caught 27,000 duplicate registrations. So we know that the NEC system works.
And even if it's not perfect, it can be fixed.
But it's the same NEC now, according to you, that is about to give out, or the government that is about to give out, you know, a whipping $52 million for.
No, that's the NRR.
That's the NRR, not the NEC.
Sorry, the NRR now is about to give out some $52 million for some technology, you know, contract that Liberians, you know, can do.
Right, and that's why we are here. That's why we are here. And if there are people who out there who think, you know, otherwise, let them call in, let them join the show, you know, because it's important that we have these discussions, because this goes across the board, because this national identification helps with financial inclusion. It helps with banking access, right? It helps with government increasing its revenue, being able to identify all its citizens. So all of this is just so important to the overall development of the country that we can't just put it in the hands of foreigners. And we have been talking about data sovereignty. Now is the time to demonstrate that we're really serious about sovereignty in a lot of different regards. We can talk about food sovereignty, you know, security sovereignty, every kind of sovereignty. But if Liberians cannot help to build a country and cannot help to do these things, then what are we here for?
And finally, before we go to the lines, I can pick at most maybe 6 calls. But finally, what is the rates, or what are the rates, you know, of giving our, you know, bio data, if you like, you know, to a foreign firm? I mean, we have one already with the Liberia Traffic Management on the driver license. It seems that we gravitate to foreigners, and when there are Liberians who can do the same old job.
All right, let me give you one of the risks. Somebody takes your biometric ID.
Mm-hmm.
It's the data's not. They have control over that data.
Mm-hmm.
What is to stop them from taking that biometric ID and applying it to somebody else in a different country for nefarious reasons? Let me narrow it down for you.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know why the Liberian passport is one of the least respected passports in the world?
Is it complicated?
Because people cannot validate, or they don't have the confidence that the people who are being given passports are even Liberians.
And you know, sometimes our accent unique. So when Nigerian men or Ghanaian men go drop Liberian passport somewhere, there's no credibility. And it was consistently happening.
If a Ghanaian loses his passport, their national identification system is so strong that the Ghanaian national ID card can be used for foreign travel to get them back, instead of them having to go to the embassy for laissez-passer. When Liberians travel and their flight is delayed, you know they don't let Liberians leave the airport?
No.
You know that, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so why do you think that is? Because they don't know, they're not sure that you are this person. Americans travel, they get stuck in Brussels. They say, okay, you'll go, walk around town, spend some money. Your flight leave at 5 o'clock, come back at 3. You're good to go. Liberians, they say, if the plane delayed 48 hours, you stay in the airport 48 hours. You know why? Because we don't have the confidence in your identification documents that you are who you say you are. Yeah, we know it says that's you, but your system, that's the data ecosystem that supports that, is not strong enough.
And that information is tied to nearly everything, whether that immigration, whether that elections, whether that the police, whether that border security, whether that just national intelligence, the financial systems, it's tied in. And if foreign people are controlling it, there's an easy opportunity for them to, violate our own national standards and do whatever they want to do, whether it's selling, whether it's impersonation, whether it's some other criminal stuff. All the risks are there. So we need to own this stuff. If we can manage the security around our national identification is being managed by foreign people, it can be easily compromised. Okay,
but
so
Isaac, implicit in the contract is the disrespect that the company itself has for Liberia.
Well, question.
Here's where I'm going with this. We want a contract to manage your biometric data. But if you have a dispute with us,
come to
we
Austria.
don't trust you enough to have this dispute in Liberia, in your own country. You have to go to Europe to do it. I mean, think about that.
So that means you don't even have legal sovereignty of your own contract, right? It's been outsourced to a foreign country, foreign court.
We sign the contract and we say, oh, if there's a dispute, we're not going to settle this dispute in Liberia. We don't care what your courts are going to say. We're going to go to Europe, and whatever the court in Europe says, that's what it's going to be. This means that the government is going to have to hire a European law firm. They're going to have to spend resources to settle the dispute. Does anybody think that the government of Liberia is prepared to do any of that?
No, we're not.
Too many things to talk about. George Famule, Chief Technology Officer of Liberia Solutions and member of the Mano River Technologies Consortium. And earlier you heard Isaac Batoba Jr., Chief Executive Officer of Liberia Solutions and member of the Mano River Technologies Consortium. We'll pick 6 calls. You can call on 077846 0555. Okay, just hold on, folks. 0555 765 842. Let me read it again. 0555 765 842 or 0778 47. Okay. Alternatively, you can call 0777 40 40 10. And don't call my number because I'm using it for the WhatsApp. Maybe overseas call, yes. WhatsApp call will not be interfered, but if you do the landline, you will interfere with the WhatsApp call with my guest. So we can pick you on the regular landline. But you can call 0777 40 40 10 as an alternative, or you can call +231 776 236 528. This is the Prime Morning Drive on Prime FM 105.5 with your tasty radio. Again, 0778 460 793 0777 40 40 10, or you can call +231 776 236 528. While the calls are coming, let me ask any of you, in terms of job creation, I mean, once you are given this contract, how many persons are we talking about that are going to be employed?
500.
That's the estimate. About 500 persons can be employed in this situation to support this effort.
Wow. Okay, let's pick our first call. Good morning. Morning, Danesius. Yes, your name and where you calling from? My name is Silver Marcus Blue, and I join you from Cooper Island this morning. Go ahead, Shama. Let me say, this is Silver Marcus Blue. Yeah. Let me say thank you to your panelists this morning. Let me say thank you for the discussion this morning. Tanisha, you see how other countries have been years around the world. It is the old country that love that. Look at Nigeria. Almost all the millionaires you have in Africa, they are from Nigeria and South Africa. Because the economy, because the government support them, give them contract. We say no job, but give our job out to foreigners. How will we have job? This is the one of our just here. 500 person can be employed if they have that kind of contract. In this economy now, if you just get 500 person, you know how many person will be fair by that 500 person. Let's say each person is down to 5 person as a family here. So our government need to look at that. We have some people here that have money. Give them a contract. Give me our resources out to foreigners, making them millionaires and millionaires. Wow, people are here. They need that money. They need those contracts at least to help our society, to help people that are here. Okay. We need to do better in that. Our government need to help our people. Thank you. Yeah. Thank you. Let's pick this one. Good morning. Danesius. Yeah. Good morning, David. Here is my call from Danesius. Let's hear you, David. And good morning to your guests. I have a few questions for them. My first question is this: the biometric citizen ID card. Can the ID card identify Danesius Marteh as John Kennedy Airport in the United States? Can it identify Danesius? And if you guys secure that contract, how many weeks or months that would take to do the entire registration of the 5.some million Nigerians? Lastly, thank you. No, you can go away. Last question. No, it's okay. Okay, all right. Let's pick this one. Good morning. Yeah, good morning, Danesius. Yes, your name and where you calling from? You're speaking with Mohammed M. Shabir Jr. and I'm calling from a farm and on the Kelvein. Okay, go ahead. Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Good morning to your studio guests as well. You know, it is good. The liberalization policy is being pushed from all angles of government. But it is also important for people to come to the day schools with a clear mindset. And our name this is the man who has been calling for the failure of this government. How can you be calling for the United Party government to fail? For another government to succeed? Well, so I'm constrained to ask you, I'm constrained to ask you, where did he call for the, I know you will respond, but I mean, where did he call for the government to fail? Where? I am a religious follower of his own job. Okay. I was a regular panelist on his own job, and he's doing a lot of things about Jose Nimapaka, and his willingness to see that the government of Jose Nimapaka fail. So if you form a government of an organization or an entity or a business, and you want government contract, that would be a government shooting yourself in the leg, because if you are involved with the government, you will be the one, to fast track the failure of the government. Okay. The very thing that you want to see. So I urge people that are to come to the discourse with utmost sincerity. Thank you very much. Thank you so much. Isaac will respond to that. I mean, for me, that's a valid concern. I mean, but Isaac will respond. Good morning. Good morning. Yeah, this is our. Paco, your line is Paco. Is this Paco? Yeah, I don't know where you're calling from today. The line is cracking. Okay, you better not. Yeah, you better not. Go ahead. So Paco, where I come in, me, and it slipped my mind. I didn't ask the previous caller. So if Danesius is a critic of, say, the Ministry of Information or the minister, so the minister will not give me some kind of contract and say, okay, the government police also say, I pick you, can't go with the government. You will not do it. I
think the man drop off.
cover the government. Okay. All right, Paco, your line cracking. Let me end your call. Evergreen, stop calling my line. I tell you that I will not take on the regular voice call. Evergreen, you interfere with the guest. Please stop calling my line. Good morning. No, Mohammed, no, we can't monopolize the show like that. You may appoint, Isaac will respond. We can have you, especially when Isaac did not say something about you, we can have it. You allege what Isaac may have said, he will respond, but you can call back for the second time. We can take, maybe that will end it for the call segment. Yes, Isaac and George, you heard the concerns and the feedback.
Yeah, let me address the first one about criticizing the government. It
okay,
just.
Sorry, let me pick. Okay, go ahead. I want to pick the last question.
Oh, go pick the last call. Fine, go ahead.
Okay, so we can pick one more call. We got to call back. Sorry, folks. Call back. I want to pick one more call. But I think we can call it a day. Yeah, you can respond. That's what.
Yeah.
Way past the time. That's what.
I don't know what the other guy named, but at least I remember Muhammad's name, and then subsequently.
Yeah, the Paco. He calls. He's a regular listener, and he calls from I think the Fiamma area.
But I think all of them got wax in their ear, or they can't comprehend, or something like that. Because.
People say you go on Spoon.
But that's why you know Danesius, the easy thing about Spoon, all the records are there. Every show is there. The first thing, when the initial discussions about this government came about, right? My position was it's too early to criticize government. The first thing, I supported this government to get elected. I supported the Joseph Yima boycott government to get elected. It was very public. I took my stance when the ANC decided that anybody can choose where they want to choose. I supported President Boycott because I felt that was a better option for. I still feel it's the better option for the country after 3 years. So whatever they see or whatever they're hearing, if they're just assuming because maybe on a Spoon show they turn off from supporting the government in the first few months, switch to being against the government or wherever it is, because I don't really listen to Spoon. I don't know, where that on tune is now. But to just group me into something when they cannot, if they can bring something out clearly, that's fine. I don't have a problem.
So you saying and you throwing out a challenge and
big time challenge. Look,
you never wish for the government to fail.
How can I ever wish for a Liberian government to fail? I'm not a patriot.
Or have you been a critic of the government? You supported it.
I don't think I've criticized the government. I've been suggesting different options without question. So if I was such a critic, hold on 1 second, George. If I was such a critic of the government, why would I get a contract to do the strategic plan for water and sewer?
Okay.
But let me ask this question to your reader, to your listeners. How do you grow without criticism?
But that's why you don't grow.
It's a very simple question. If you believe that everything the government is doing, I'm a supporter of this government, but I don't believe that everything the government is doing is correct.
But how can anybody do anything correct? All correct.
The reason Mono River Union, the reason Mono River came together is because we don't believe that this contract is correct. The very fact that we submitted a contract, a proposal, without a contract should tell you that we don't believe that is correct. If to listen to the people who are saying you were critical of the government, then if that's the case, then they are saying to us, well, you withdraw your contract because everything the government do is right. We are saying no, this is not correct.
This particular instance is not correct. We had an issue with the what do you call the stuff name? The license plates as well. And we see what's happening now with the license plates.
So somebody asked a technical question. The first caller asked a technical question. And if you recall, I said that people pay subscription fees to the NIR to validate, okay, to validate that this person is who they say they are. It doesn't matter where you are. If your data center is up and your APIs are accessible, they have a predefined format to be able to essentially, to make it simple, to message the NIR in real time and say, we got somebody here, their fingerprints say that they're Danesius. Is that correct?
Right.
And the NIR can respond immediately, instantly, and say yes.
That was the question about identity in the US. It can be confirmed.
US, so you see when you go to the place, they'll take your passport and they'll turn it over so you can read it. That electronic passport reader is not just recording the numbers. If there's biometric data attached to that passport, it will be able to validate that biometric data.
Okay. All right, let's hear from your. You can now take your closing comments and then we call it a day.
George, go ahead.
Well, my closing comment is: listen, Liberians are capable. Liberians are prepared. Our people need employment, and our data needs to be sovereign. The only way you get all those things is by entrusting your citizens to build your country. You don't get any of those things by paying 70% of your government's revenue for a service to an outside company. If the government, if the president was sincere, and I believe he was, and let me just state this really candidly. I don't believe that the people who are serving the president, specifically the director of the NIR and the people who are pushing this contract, I don't believe they have given they have given the president the full view that there is an alternative to this. If this is the only choice the president has, then it is the only choice he will make. So, to be fair, my challenge to Mr. Peters, my challenge to Minister Newman and the National Security Advisor is
justice, all those who
put all the contracts on the table and let's decide. But you can't say, if those of you who read the book, The Invisible Man, one of the quotes in The Invisible Man, he says, I'm an invisible man, not because people cannot see me, but because they refuse to see me. Okay. So Liberians are now invisible men in their own country, where our own people refuse to see us.
Okay. Thank you. Let's take you, Isaac, and then we can call it a day.
Again, I want to say thank you to you for hosting us, Kelvein and Danesius. I want to say to some of the misinformed listeners out there who are not listening right, they need to listen properly and understand where people come from. And then criticism, like George.
I hope they are not mistaking you for what's his name,
Sam Chassis. Say about bad, but nobody can make that kind of mistake, please. No, but seriously, they are just off the chart. And then the second thing is, somebody who is critical of government doesn't mean they don't like the government either, because there are people out there who are Unity Party members I have seen have issued criticism against some actions of the government. They should understand government is a huge elephant meat. Not everybody thinking the same, not everybody, because I know some government officials who are in the best interest of this country, who work hard on the weekend, they're working, they're doing everything they can to make whatever their mandate is successful in the best interest of the people. There are some other government officials who are loose. They're not consistent. They're not committed. They're not working as hard as their peers. And maybe the president will soon do a shakeup to be able to get results. Some people who gave the president wrong information, like George is saying right now. The president needs adequate information on all aspects of an issue to make a presidential and executive decision, not just a partial portion, like you just getting half of a picture to the president to make a decision. That's wrong. The president issued out executive order, I believe it was 147, where they asked Minister Woods to
security advisor.
Yeah, the national security advisor. I mean, what is the report that he gave? What report did he give to the president? Did he give all sides? Because I know he reached out to different people for input into this thing. Did he share a comprehensive, objective summary of his investigation with the president? And is this something that will come in the public too for us to see what he did over that time period and why this stuff is still dragging?
Didn't he speak to you?
He reached out to George Fambula specifically,
okay,
and asked me for my opinion on the deal, on the contract, and I gave him my opinion, and it's in line with everything I just gave you.
And
that contract, this and it was in opposition. That let me just condense it for you. All right, the problem with the contract. It's not an issue of technology. It's not an issue of execution. It's a policy issue. The government of Liberia has to decide that government agencies will pay the NRR to do the work it's supposed to do. What we are faced with, the reason we have this contract is because government agencies have decided that they will not pay the NRR. So the NRR is trying to solve its problem by bringing in a third party that the government will be contractually obligated to pay, and that third party is taking 70%. So it's a policy issue.
But also a security issue too. It's not limited to that.
What God has to do today is to issue an executive order and say from this point forward, all funding for identification from line ministries will go directly to the NRR. Case closed. The NRR has the money it needs to operate.
But it's also a security issue as well. Because if... Okay, go ahead.
George and Isaac, we got to go. Thank you so much. We can find time and do it. Maybe look at the LMTI, that's the driver license code, since you guys are, knowledgeable, if not experts in technology. We can find time sometimes, if not this week, next week, we can do it. But thank you so much. It's early in the US. I think it should be around what?
My man, for Liberia, we can wake up anytime, but we really appreciate the opportunity, and we keep pushing and trying to make a difference for our country, regardless of some of the misinformed people out there. But again, I challenge them. So anytime I Paco Mecca or Mohammed Sharif come, the Mohammed man Sharif say, I don't know he got identification because I know at least 6 Mohammed Sharif. In the LEC.
Yeah, you're right. 6. Maybe I know 4 Mohammed Sharif.
I know 6.
There's one at the LFA, there's one at the LEC. They just
plenty. That's why we need national identification and properly identify, because who knows that Mohammed Sharif could be impersonating our LEC and MD anywhere he go. So we gotta be worried about that kind of stuff. But guys, thank you, Danesius and Kelvin, and to your audience, we really appreciate them, those who are listening, and hopefully we can do this again soon.
Yeah, do have a blessed week.
You too. Bye.
Okay, bye-bye.